Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forwards. Trouble is the common denominator of the living. It is the great equalizer. To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Confidence is the present tense of hope. Love is all, it gives all, and it takes all. It is not where we breathe, but where we love, that we live. The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule begins. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. Hope is passion for what is possible. Most men pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that they hurry past it. Geniuses are like thunderstorms. They go against the wind, terrify people, clear the air. Truth is not introduced into the individual from without, but was within him all the time. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly one you'll never have. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. Faith is the highest passion in a human being. Many in every generation may not come that far, but none comes further. The highest and most beautiful things in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but, if one will, are to be lived. Take away paradox from the thinker and you have a professor. Personality is only ripe when a man has made the truth his own. Far from idleness being the root of all evil, it is rather the only true good. If a person does not become what he understands, then he does not understand it either. It is wretched to have an abundance of intentions and a poverty of action, to be rich in truths and poor in virtues. It is better to try something and fail than to try nothing and succeed. The result may be the same, but you won't be. We always grow more through defeats than victories. There are many people who arrive at conclusions in life much the way schoolboys do. They cheat their teachers by copying the answer book without having worked the problem themselves. Purity of heart is to will one thing. Do it or don't do it. You will regret both. It is hard to believe because it is hard to obey. Take a chance and you may lose. Take not a chance and you have lost already. The question is not to be or not to be. It is what we should be until we are not. If I could prescribe only one remedy for all the ills of the modern world, I would prescribe silence. To venture causes anxiety, but not to venture is to lose oneself, and to venture in the highest is precisely to be conscious of oneself. Old age realizes the dreams of youth. Look at Dean Swift. In his youth, he built an asylum for the insane. In his old age, he was himself an inmate. The proud person always wants to do the right thing, the great thing, but because he wants to do it in his own strength, he is fighting not with man, but with God. Wherever there is a crowd, there is untruth. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. Our life always expresses the result of our dominant thoughts. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. Life has its own hidden forces which you can only discover by living. People settle for a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness. During the first period of a man's life, the greatest danger is not to take the risk. It is one thing to introduce a new doctrine into the world. It is something else to live it. The unhappy person is never present to themselves because they always live in the past or the future. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? Patience is necessary, and one cannot reap immediately where one has sown. It was completely fruitless to quarrel with the world, whereas the quarrel with oneself was occasionally fruitful and always, she had to admit, interesting. The truth is lived before it is understood. It must be fought for, tested, and appropriated. Truth is the way. Anyone will easily understand it if he just gives himself to it. Don't forget to love yourself. Love does not alter the beloved, it alters itself. To love another person is to help them love God. Unhappiness is not to love without being loved, but to be loved when one does not love. Ulysses wasn't comely, but he was eloquent, yet he fired 2 goddesses of the sea with love. It is essential in relationships and all tasks that we concentrate only on what is most significant and important. To cheat oneself out of love is the most terrible deception. It is an eternal loss for which there is no reparation, either in time or in eternity. When one has once fully entered the realm of love, the world, no matter how imperfect, becomes rich and beautiful. It consists solely of opportunities for love. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. The minority is always stronger than the majority, because the minority is generally formed by those who really have an opinion. Learn not to tell anything to anyone, because only then your life will definitely get better. People demand freedom of speech as compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. To be a woman is something so strange, so confusing and so complicated that only a woman could put up with it. Which quotes of Soren Kierkegaard did you like? Tell me by commenting, and if you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel so that you can easily reach my upcoming videos.